Palestinian officials say more than 400 people have died since airstrikes began earlier this month. How should the Obama administration deal with the twin crises? That's our topic this half hour, and we want to hear from you as always. You can share your thoughts on our Fox 26 Facebook page or send a tweet using the hashtag Fox26forlife. In our newsroom, we have our legal analyst, Chris Tritico, our news analyst and foreign affairs expert, Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst, Jackie Bally. Good morning again, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What do you think?
Well, there's been some criticism for the way the president has dealt with primarily the Crimean situation, the problem with the shooting down of the jetliner. I haven't heard a lot of criticism about how he's dealt with Gaza, because he's primarily and completely been behind Israel and their ability to defend themselves from the attacks. But let's start with the shooting down of the jetliner, Mustafa Tamiz. The president, in dealing with Russia on this situation, has put a first round of sanctions in. The Europeans wouldn't match what he did. Last week, right before they shot down the jetliner, he announced new sanctions that the Europeans wouldn't match again, and then the jet was shot down. What more can he do other than, when we finally prove that Russia was behind this, put even stricter sanctions against Russia?
Well, I think first, the intelligence that came in terms of that audio tape from this conversation between Russian intelligence folks and someone in Crimea came from the United States, but rather than us releasing it, it got released through their government. I think the president's doing everything that he can, and this last episode back and forth between Russia and us was handled in the best way it possibly could to start building a coalition in Europe. The hard part of the Europeans enacting those sanctions, not only did it hurt Russia, but it hurt the European countries that are buying oil and gas from Russia.
That's part of the problem, I think, Jackie Bally, is that the Europeans rely very heavily on Russian oil and gas. And that's why they have been hesitant to match President Obama's request for sanctions. And they haven't been as harsh as the United States has.
Right, and Putin is pretty much aware of that. So he knows that he has the upper hand, especially dealing with the Europeans.
With Europeans.
And the president, when his statements, when he did come up, he did stop short of saying we blame them because they're doing more intelligence and they're doing more research. Hopefully when he comes back with follow-up statements, he will be more firm. That's one of the things we would like to see. I think, unfortunately, when you're dealing with a thug like Putin, saying we're going to impose other sanctions will not work, especially if we continue to be the only ones to do it. He will only respect force, and he does not respect our president. We all know that. They do not like each other. And so if the one thing that he is afraid of is our armory. Now that puts the president in a very particular and awkward position, because we don't want to get into another war. We don't really want to show force.
And he knows we're not.
But that is the only thing that would actually have Putin or get his
attention.
attention.
One of the things, and we got to go to Saudi, but one of the things the president could do would be send arms to the Ukrainian government.
Correct.
That would be something he could do.
I think that is the only thing that he could do that we as in the residents and citizens of the United States
would the Republicans support that?
Whether they do or not, I think it's a bad idea for us to engage in another war, a proxy war in Europe with another nuclear-armed country.
Okay.
I mean, is that the solution?
All right, let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Yes, we're hearing from Nina today. She's retweeting somebody called Israeli in New York who says, "Thank you, President Obama, for reaffirming your strong support of Israel's right to defend itself against Hamas." So a favorable tweet for the president there. Mary says, "Where is our president? Hot spots all over the world. Israel plane down by a missile. Obama fundraising."
Well, and that's been one of the things that the president's been roundly criticized about, is he was at a fundraiser when all this was going on. I don't know that that was really fair. I don't know that he had to leave a fundraiser or whatever he was doing because a plane got shot down. But I'm gonna go to the Gaza. I think the president personally has done all that he can do in supporting Israel's right to defend itself, but not interjecting this so that it gets escalated out of control.
This has been the same situation that every president has been in for many decades.
Since 1949.
So this president is not doing anything differently than any other president has. It's a tragedy that's occurring, and we hope that the loss of life is minimized.
The president has to be very careful about how he approaches this. You know, Israel now has a ground invasion going on in Gaza, and this thing escalating out of control, it can really really hamper a lot of things in the Middle East.
I'm going to concur with some of the statements that you made, because I have not heard conservatives or Republicans really coming out against the president with his handling in Gaza.
Right.
The complaints that you've seen are more with the Ukrainian
Correct.
situation.
Yeah.
And to go back to the point you asked, do you think conservatives, we're not saying we want to get into another war, but we do know this is the only way you will get Putin's attention, is to give them armory or to give them aircraft, just as you stated. And so it's not that we're proponents of another war, but that is the only way that this man, this thug, is going to actually listen to us, because right now he does not respect the president, he does not think we're going to do anything, and he does not have any respect for any of the other countries, like you stated, because he knows he has the upper hand in Europe.
What about that?
And so as we frame the segment, when you look at President Obama, if Putin is a thug, then no one's going to get his respect. So there's nothing that we can do other than what the president is doing, which he always does, is to try to build a consensus around the world to isolate Putin. And then therefore,
but isn't the problem that Putin is a thug with a huge nuclear arsenal and a lot of oil and natural gas that he knows the countries in Europe rely upon? So he's really a thug with a lot more power than most of the thugs we can just push around.
I feel that, unfortunately, having Obama in the administration at this time, because he is so weak on foreign policy, that's another thing that's hurting our credibility with everyone.
I haven't seen anything that he's done, though, in the Ukrainian situation that was wrong.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's often charged he's weak, he's not doing enough. When you ask people, what should he do? The answer is, well, really, we would do everything that he would do. That's what President.
I don't think any conservative has said that.
Senator McCain, you can go down the list.
All right, we got to go. We're going to leave it right there. Sally, we'll be back next week with some really good topics.
Okay, sounds good, guys. Happy Sunday to you.